Oh my god, yes, come on.
I'm feeling silly.
I thought you were gonna say I'm feeling silly. Got striped. This is actually so funny.
Oh, I didn't know your pants, but I did know this thing.
Yes is wearing striped pants, and I'm wearing a striped green shirt, and I'm wearing orange. Do you want to tell them what we recorded?
I don't know. Do you?
Oh, it's happened. I'm excited to say, after a bunch of logistical stuff to figure out, we have filmed 4 episodes where we take you guys, property hunting with us. It was really fun to film. We saw some really cool properties. We
really wanted to do this for so long, and I felt like I was just kind of stuck and not the right time yet. But now it's really started, and it's fun.
Yeah,
there's a lot to come.
Our real estate agent Arno did an incredible job finding these properties. He really offered us something completely different on every viewing. And of course we were recording it all for you guys, but it was the first time we got to see the properties ourselves. So it was very interesting. It definitely left.
And did we buy one or no? Or?
I will say one thing. I won't say which one or something, but I will say we are currently closing on a property. We can say that now, I think.
I mean, why don't you spill it all?
I didn't say which or whatever. Everyone's going to have to watch. But we are currently closing on a property, which is really exciting. I think this is the dream place. I think it's happened.
Let's see first. Don't, like, if you say it too quickly, it can always, like, some things can go wrong.
Okay, and if everything stays on track, middle of October, those videos are going to start to come out on my YouTube channel, which is going to be something to look forward to, I hope. I feel like with everything we've both, but I have been doing so much behind the scenes that my socials have gone quiet and YouTube has gone a little bit quiet. And I promise you guys, it's these last 2 years, there's been so much to like arrange and to sort out. There's been so many big life choices we've made, and like socials have been quiet, but they're about to get a whole lot not so quiet very soon.
I should get the Italian version of you then.
Yeah.
No, but what I do like about it is that now, because we're in this in-between process, what we really like to do is share things that are happening, and not just share them to share them, especially like that works better for us. So I'm excited to then have this whole process that we can finally film and share with you guys and do all of that about.
And also, like, now that the steps are coming together and we're getting close to being able to launch the videos, I've also felt so inspired about like continuing to document this journey, and it's brought so much more like fun into doing this. I mean, filming for us has always been something that we've just filmed our lives. It's not really been like so much like setting up videos. I mean, in some ways, of course, like there is video productions and all that kind of stuff, but like filming for us has always been fun. And I feel like because the last 2 years, I'll talk for myself, but the last 2 years for me, it's not been that fun because I haven't been able to film what's actually been going on because there's been so many.
The last 2 years?
We
only live here for a year.
Well, yeah, but we already were thinking of moving and everything. I feel like the last 2 years for me, I was like out of myself in a way. I didn't want to like share so much what was going on because I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know like what's the message, where are we going with this?
And sometimes with these things, it's also you have to be careful when you announce things.
Yeah.
Because if you do it too quickly or too early, then it can also affect it in a negative way.
Yeah, and you guys will see in the episodes we delve into one project that we were involved with for a very long time, which didn't go ahead, and I'm so glad we didn't announce anything with that, even though we had put so much time and money into it. Because it didn't come to fruition, and it feels like this huge build-up, which is the truth. I mean, that's our lives. It was this huge build-up, then towards nothing, and it was very difficult. So I feel like everything has gone kind of the way it should have.
On that one, actually, we can make 5 videos.
Yeah, no, that's true on that topic alone. But just so you guys know, if you're seeing like, oh, where's Matt? Or he's been a bit more quiet and all that kind of stuff. There's just so much stuff going on behind the scenes. And I feel like if I was to go ahead and make other content that is deliberately not what I'm actually experiencing and going through, it would be fake. And I just don't like that. Like just making content to make content. I only want to make content when I feel like inspired and fun. And I feel like if we are able to close on this house and it goes ahead, my content will really follow our journey with that. Horses will always be involved, of course, and it's a horse property, obviously, and everything, but it's gonna go into like more lifestyle and all that kind of stuff and renovations, blah, 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 on and on and on. So that's something to look forward to. I've been really excited to tell you guys that, because I know a lot of you have been waiting to join us on that journey. So middle of October, fingers crossed, if everything goes ahead right with the scheduling, we should be releasing the very first episode. Take 60 seconds to explain why Squarespace is the perfect platform for you if you're looking to build a website or if you're looking to switch over to an easier platform to run your website. I've run my website through Squarespace for many years now. What I loved about it is that they offer hundreds of already made templates that you can just go in and kind of quickly get some inspiration and create what you want from. I can really easily manage my storefront, update stock levels, and do little quick updates to my website also through my phone. So when I'm traveling, it's really convenient. They keep coming out with new innovations and updates to make all the features more useful for your website, and also new creative ideas to make it look always even better and updated. I couldn't recommend Squarespace more highly, especially if any of you like me have no real knowledge on how to do these kind of things. Squarespace will take you through the step-by-step guide of how to do everything yourself and save a lot of money in the process. If this sounds like something that you're interested in, then do use my link, which will also support my channel, which is www.squarespace.com/MattHarnacke, and in doing so you'll receive 10% off the first purchase of a website or a domain.
And it's happened. I went to my ADHD test.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, you did.
Oh my god, it was so awkward. It wasn't really a test, it was an intake. I was meant to go to this intake a long time. I mean, I was on a list waiting for 8 months. Then I was finally my time, but then I had a show, so I had to cancel. I don't think they really appreciated that, so I had to wait a bit longer.
But can you imagine, sorry, someone wants to get help. They want to find out if they have something like ADHD that like is quite difficult to deal with on a day-to-day basis. You have to wait 8 months in order to get your first consultation. 8 months? Like,
yeah,
that's crazy.
Oh, I thought you were going to be judgy to me that then I cancelled the appointment.
Oh, I was not happy about that. No.
Yeah, but my shows go first.
But
okay, then I was there, and it was so awkward. They were very sweet. But I was in this room with 2 people, and they were just asking me questions, and they were staring at me, and I got very nervous.
I told you, you came home and you told me, and I said, well, you were there to be, let's say, judged on the sense of if they thought you met the criteria or not for ADHD. So it does make sense that they were there looking and watching you.
Yeah,
I said,
very, very sweet.
Yeah.
And what I like about this place, that's why I chose this one, is that they really look if it actually is something like that, or if you're dealing with other things, instead of just being like, oh, you have this now, and then here, good luck, you have your pills, and that's it.
Yeah.
Because that's not what I'm looking for, and even if I don't have it, or even if I do, it doesn't really change much, but hopefully I can deal with it then.
There is some doctors out there that just like prescribe things without even really looking into it and stuff like that, and I think these...
that happened in the past, almost.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's why it's better just to wait longer if you have to and go to a good place, but
yeah, I was sweating, I think, when I got out, and I have to go back and then bring my mom, because they need to know about Joy, how you were as a child. I didn't tell her yet, but...
If you're watching, Mom.
If anybody wants to volunteer as a mom to come with me, feel free.
No, you take your mom. She's going to be able to give the... Also, one thing, I was like shocked finding out about this about you. You've never been grounded in your whole life.
What do you mean never been grounded?
You've never been grounded. You never had like...
One time that I had to go upstairs, I think, or I couldn't go down.
One time? You've got to be kidding me. That's nothing. I hope other people can relate. I feel like I was grounded every other day practically. I don't know if it's because me and my brother were like the terrible two.
Yeah, I was home. I was never home. How can I be grounded? One time I actually hit my sister with a stick. I don't even think then I got grounded. But she was really annoying back then.
Yeah, but that's crazy.
I'm not an aggressive person, don't worry.
But I feel like...
I was very young.
Anyway, it's going to be interesting to see how that unfolds.
One time I remember I gave my mom a bad name, but I've heard that name somewhere else, and then I gave it to her, and then when I said it, I felt so bad, I was like, oh. And then I couldn't watch TV downstairs.
Oh, so you were grounded once then?
Well, that was the night, but then halfway through I went down, and then they let me. Because they were like, okay, this is enough.
You know what I have?
With your sweet face, they were like, that's fine. He's fine again.
You know, I would get grounded sometimes for weeks not watching TV. weeks. Do you know what that's
like? Did you also get grounded for things Steve did to you?
Well, we would kind of sometimes get grounded together, and sometimes I would like try, because we had like the TV downstairs and there was like a staircase, and I would like watch TV like on the staircase, and my parents like wouldn't know. So sad. But okay, I was very young back then. Yeah, so I'm glad that's happened. You're gonna have to give us an update on what the actual outcome of that's gonna be. I don't think it is that. I think this. I think they don't know. Issue. I think they don't know you well enough yet.
No, and I don't think I was myself there.
I mean, you're sitting there basically having a mental breakdown, sweating, over analyzing everything. I mean, that sounds to me like there's something going on. But we will find out about that. Aside from that, I feel like things have been quite busy. We went on a holiday. We went on a family holiday.
How is that busy?
No, wait, hold on. Yeah, but because there was stuff that happened before and after, and then there was the holiday. I feel like for Yes and I, every time there's a holiday, we have to like try to find a way to like squeeze it in.
We had a storm on the water and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, when we landed, there was like a huge storm.
Never heard such a loud
thunder
sound.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, and we were like docked, and some of the boats on the other side of the dock where they were getting hit by the wind were like crashing into each other and crashing into the dock. It was quite intense. I thought it was actually kind of fun. My dad is like a very dramatic person, and so he was like already like getting ready if he had to like turn on the engines or like cut the ropes. He had the life vests out, he had the knife out to cut the ropes if he needed to. He's very German in that way. My dad's fully German. I wanted to talk about something because I was actually quite excited about it, because I started working with Hugo Boss, and I shot a campaign in the UK, the fall winter campaign.
Really good.
For this year, which was really, really exciting. The team was amazing. Hugo Boss coming into the equestrian space is huge, and
Hugo.
I will, yeah, Hugo Mongus. But the quality of the products, like the craftsmanship, the cashmeres, the wools, it was just like the products were not only aesthetically beautiful, but the quality was so good. And I feel like for the price point, of course it's a higher price point, but I feel like it's such a justified and incredible collection. I highly recommend, if you guys are looking for anything new, check out the new Hugo Boss collection, because I was very, very, very impressed when I saw the products. And I've known the team for a really long time, and we finally were able to make it happen. It was a small dream come true. So yeah, thank you, Hugo Boss, for letting me be part of this beginning. It's just the beginning, so hopefully there's much more to come. But yeah, that was really fun, and we did the whole shoot at the stable of a friend of mine that I've known through the horse world called Ellie McCarthy, and she has a really beautiful stable that she built herself.
With her own hands?
No, with her own hands, obviously. But she like designed it and like built it all from scratch. So it was actually really cool, like seeing her place and everything. It was really nice. Lots of inspiration.
Didn't go there before?
I've never been there before, no. No, I've known her for a couple of years, but I've never been there. And she was so nice as well. She was helping the whole day, and she let us use her horses for the shoot. It was really good. I feel like you've had a lot going on for work as well, like with shows.
It's my calmest month, I think.
Well, now you're like in the midst of shows. You had
now I am.
The weekend before, you had like the horse event, which is like the 2 horse event weekends are like one of the busiest times for you, because you have a stand there, and I mean the Dutch people know you really well, so I feel like you're very busy at these shows.
Crazy.
Yeah,
in a good way.
The Dutchies are next level when it comes to shows and stuff. They really turn out. They want to have a good time. They come for the meet and greets. They come for the Q&As.
Yeah, so really grateful. I brought Gaio and Antares because I thought Gaio has some bigger shows coming up, but he still really needs to get used to the applause and some other things. He's been great, but it hasn't been stable.
He's more green than Antares.
Like every show is going well. It's like sometimes it goes really well, sometimes he's stressed. So I just need to have a bit more of that stabilized, a bit more normal. So I thought then I'd do Antares, and then the last 10 minutes, at least he can watch Antares and he can be there. In the last 10 minutes I can do something with him. Yeah. But with the vet check, Antares had like a little bit of a temperature that was too high, so he wasn't allowed to do the show. And of course I didn't want to do the show also, even though he looked fit. Yeah. And I have to say that is a really good thing, because like I think sometimes maybe people think that like behind the scenes, these shows, when it's demonstrations and not competitions, they're like very loose rules. Like you just rock up with your horse and go. It is.
But I feel like for the most part at these bigger shows, of course, I'm not talking about your local agricultural show, but like your bigger shows like this, you have to have all your vaccines up to date. The horses are vet checked prior to the shows.
I have to do. I have people that come out before I can even leave.
Yeah.
The stable to go to the show, which I think is a really, really good thing.
Yeah.
Checked Andres back at home straight away. He was normal temperature, so of course, luckily, but he had to be there in like a quarantine stable because you never know if they have a higher temperature, if there's like a fever or disease that they can pass on to others.
I feel like he just got hot traveling, or like he just had a bit of a warmer. He just had a bit of a warmer morning. He wasn't sick or something. He had no other symptoms, and as soon as he came home, it went away. So I feel like he just had a slightly higher temperature than normal. But the vet did the right thing by saying, "Hey, listen, these are the rules.
So nice, the vets.
These are the rules. We can't let you go through with him because he hasn't met the requirements." And they did the right thing because the horses do always come first for this.
But I was also really like agreeing with them and very supportive, so they were very, very sweet. Then for the next day I didn't want to risk him because at home straight away he had 37.6, I think, a very normal temperature. But then I thought if I risk it again and to take him there and the same situation happens, then it's just not so nice for him. And it was good for Gaia because he really worked through the show with him, like with himself, with the anxiety around the applause and stuff like that. So he actually really grew. So I wanted to take the opportunity the next day to do that with him again. It was really, really good. The people really liked him, so that's very nice. Then this weekend I bring Antares, hopefully, fingers crossed, he was fine.
But I said to you, I felt like he would chuck the sickie, like he like said, he like basically was like, "Oh, I'm sick. I can't go to school today."
But yeah.
So this time you better not chuck another one.
And then Macho too. And then
I'm very glad actually.
Else next week, and then the week after I have to go to Belgium with them, and then also to Germany. I think so a lot
of busy back-to-back shows. But I was really glad actually that you brought Gaio because you weren't even meant to bring him. You were only meant to bring one, and that is a difficult thing. Like if you show up and you're paid to be there, you have to give performances and stuff, and then your horse is not fit to go. Does create a bit of an issue. We're lucky we don't live that far from the showground, so we probably could have had someone bring another horse. But
it was a good lesson. If I go like to another country, like far away, I don't know if it's better to just always bring two.
Well, never hurts. Also for them to have a company, it's never a bad thing, I think.
I mean, depends on the situation, of course. And I got some exciting requests again, but before they are fully confirmed, I'm not going to say anything.
You like not to jinx things.
No.
I tend to rub my mouth, and then I don't typically jinx it, I think.
But no, I'm really grateful and I love it. And
Horse event was actually one of the first events when I met you that I came with you with. I think it was actually in the first week that I met you.
No, it was Equiday.
Oh, that was Equiday. Okay, well, one of these bigger shows was one of the first events I went with you to, and when I met Jesse, I didn't have a large following on social media. Smaller following on social media, but Jesse had a really die-hard, very strong following with like a really large group. It was, I've never seen something like that, with like a really connected group that would follow you to every show, and you'd somehow, I mean, through a lot of different ways, but you'd built a really strong name for yourself in the Netherlands. And I remember at the first horse show I went with you to, I didn't know how to handle it because there was like, I'd never experienced somebody going to a horse show and people wanting photos and autographs and like girls crying and all this kind of stuff. I'd never seen any of that. And it was so odd to me. I didn't know firstly how to, because I was like standing next to you, it was like really awkward. So I didn't know like firstly how I should behave and what I should do. Certainly I wasn't gonna cry, like sign my forehead. But it was really interesting because firstly in Australia, we don't have any people that have that sort of significance to people that harness that reaction. But also I'd never seen it also in Europe either. So it was something really interesting. And I think then I started, then I started to learn that these cultures exist here in the Netherlands. I think in other countries like Germany and stuff, and with the rise of social media and people getting to know people really well. But it was very strange.
I'm very grateful for that. I still get to knock on everything because it scares me, but I still get to do all these things.
We'll say the ones that are the least polite are the mothers. Like it depends the age group. Like of course, like now.
Last weekend was older.
There's not that many kids.
This weekend is?
No, hold on.
Sorry.
I feel like the typical person that follow us is well into their 20s, but the weekend that's happening this weekend is the youth weekend, which is like a very young demographic, and that's when the mothers come. And I will say the mothers are ruthless. The mothers are...
They basically throw the child.
Yeah.
And if you don't catch it, you get hit.
Changing gears, I thought I would talk about something that like we have both experienced in different ways. Because when I was on set because when I was on set for Hugo Boss and I was shooting, it's like one of the bigger productions I've done lately because I don't model full time anymore. And it really brought me back to thinking about a time where like modeling was like my whole life and like so many lived experiences, so many things. And I thought it would be interesting to like...
It's been a crazy life for you.
It's been, I feel like it was like a whole other life ago. But I thought it would be interesting to talk about like my experience with modeling and also your experience in modeling.
Mine?
Yeah, because you've got some stories as well, and you've done some fun things with it. So I thought maybe we could like share.
Say that I've been.
I think so.
I was just there.
That's what it's called.
But I have to say about this, I'm very proud of you and very impressed by how you were doing it because you were very young. Everything always looked really, really good. And you really built something from it. And you've really given everything a go. So you've been like all over, lived in different places. So kudos.
Cuddles to you. Maybe we should both start with talking about our scouting stories, like how we got scouted.
But don't act like I've been through all this because it's really nothing.
But you've done it to some level. You were scouted, so tell the people how you got scouted.
Well, I don't know. I think I got a message on Instagram. I don't remember. And then I went there. And then I am a bit shorter than what they like for guys. No, this was another one.
Oh.
So I am a bit short. I'm like 181 or something, I think. And you have to be around 185 minimum, I think. Because then if you're next to a girl, you don't look like smaller for what they like.
Yeah.
Which in a way makes sense. But
and the clothes look better typically on taller people.
Okay, that too.
Yeah.
Anyways, but then they still went ahead and they thought maybe we can do something more with the horse stuff. And like more into that direction, I think, include the horses with me. But didn't really work out. I didn't really book anything.
I mean, you already had a profile, so you went into the agency, and I think they were saying, okay, we'll see if there's commercial opportunities, but we also want to use your profile and see if there's like a possibility of like having horses involved in some way with modeling, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
Didn't work out. Didn't book anything. I only did some test shoots, I think.
But who's this? Who are we talking about now?
The new generation.
Oh yeah.
And then later I decided when that wasn't signed anymore to go to someone else. And he was a friend of my sister, is a really big model. And she knew this guy, so it went through him. But then I was like, yeah, I think in between I even went to another one maybe, but then I was also too short. Anyways, doesn't matter. So this time I was like, that's not going to happen to me. I'm not going to be too short if that's not going to be the only reason. So I got all these pads that women have when they're on their period in their underwear. And I put like 3 or 4 under each of my feet. So I had like thick like this with tape around, put it in my chest.
That's only something
Jessie would do. I needed.
Why is that something like SpongeBob would do in a cartoon? Like that's only something you would think of as getting period pads and sticking them under you.
Then it can work.
Wouldn't it be smarter to just like put in some extra soles of a shoe? Or like...
But I am glad that you warned me because I do think I took them off because I did think I had to take my shoes off.
Yesa told me, he's like, okay, I've done this to get more height. And I said, what the hell are you doing? The first thing they're going to do is take your measurements and you have to take your shoes off for that.
It's been very strange also. You also always have to go in your underwear and it's like a bit odd.
Yeah, the casting process depends from agency to agency. But usually you're like taking shots in your underwear and they're taking measurements.
That's very private. I just met you.
Yeah.
But I think there was something else. Oh yeah, and then they said what we could do is that you work in China or Japan.
Oh yeah.
And they said, but then you have to kind of go for 3 months. I said, well, that's not happening. I have horses. So then the whole journey stopped for me. I didn't want to. First of all, I was too small. I don't think I have really a modeling like look. I can only kind of smile on pictures.
You have a very commercial look.
When I did do the photos, I just didn't have, like, I was just awkward because after a few, like, looks, I didn't know what else to do with my face.
But listen, it takes time. It's kind of, it is a craft of its own and a talent of its own. You have to learn. You have to learn how to be in front of the camera, and like, you also have to learn, like, okay, if I do this, it will look like this. And that takes a lot of time.
Yeah, so when you do see somebody that did modeling, don't underestimate it. It's easy.
Yeah.
So then I think after that I was like, okay, well, it's fine.
Yeah.
I would have liked it if I got some extra jobs, which is for fun. But then...
But I feel like if you wanted to do it properly, which is the reason I don't do it full time anymore, you have to dedicate your life to it. You have to do castings every single day. You have to do a bunch of test shoots.
I actually did some castings too, I think.
For who?
I don't remember. Oh. But yeah, no, that's true for sure.
Yeah. So you tried to dip the toe.
And I went with you actually with Fashion Week when I visited you in Italy.
Oh yeah.
I was on someone next to in the plane that smelled very bad. And
I was, ADHD brain.
No, but I was thinking, because I never really flew,
stick to the story.
And I was like, oh, if I have to fly to Australia with someone like this, it's gonna be interesting. And you flew so often, so I was very impressed. But on the longer flights, you have better seats.
Oh my god, your brain goes everywhere.
Should I just send them this video then?
Yeah, send this can be your intake. We'll just send them this.
I think I've done quite well because I've stopped myself a lot of times already. But then I went with you and we went to the casting from the Armani.
It was the casting was for Emporio Armani and Giorgio Armani. They do it together.
Hey. There was like a line from I don't know here till where with all these guys.
There's thousands of boys that show up from the in-live casting.
Did you make it then?
But hold on, I can go into that a little bit later. But there's thousands of boys that show up to that casting, and those are the ones that have already gone through 2 sections of pre-select. So like one is just based on your cards and your book, and then you go in person to meet one of the casting directors, and if they like you, then you get asked to come to the in-person one, and you go to the like, let's call them the Armani headquarters. It's called Armani Spa, I believe.
Spa?
And it's actually
Do they have a spa?
No. And it's actually where the runway for Giorgio and Emporio Armani is, and you walk that runway for the castings, and you have Mr. Armani in the seats with a bunch of people that work for him, and you're just walking one boy after another.
How many do they choose in the end?
They
like
choose
30?
Yeah, I think it's like 25 to 30.
Also, what people can't forget is that these things cost a lot of money because you don't even know if you're going to get booked. You need to travel there, you need to stay there, you need to eat, you need to do all these things, and you have to pay for it yourself.
Yeah.
No?
Yeah. Maybe I can say a little bit about like how it was for me. So I got scouted when I was 16 the first time, and it happened somewhere, I don't know exactly where, but it was somewhere out in public. Somebody came up to me and gave me a card and said, okay, we'd love to like see if you'd like to come into the agency. Have you ever thought about doing anything with modeling? And at the time, no one had ever talked to me about like me doing something like that, and I was like, what is this person talking about? Like, how the hell could I ever be a model? Like, that's
so potential.
I don't get it. And then as I went from like 16 to 17, I had like a couple more people throughout my school, including some teachers and my principal, that kept kind of like saying, oh, you should model, why don't you try it, blah, blah, blah. And it started to become something that I became more aware of.
Did you then do shoots already with Steve?
No, I didn't. And then one day I was at a horse show, out of all places. I was just dressed in...
Where was the other time? Also.
It was somewhere in public, but I don't remember if I was at like a train station or at the mall. I don't remember now anymore. But...
Did you regret it?
No. Initially I never regretted it, like not chasing them up. Then I got scouted again when I was 17 at a horse show. A lady, I was talking with like a bunch of friends who were girls, and a lady comes up to me, well, a lady comes up to us and she goes, hi girls, and I go, oh, I haven't even been acknowledged of my gender, so she probably doesn't want to talk to me. And then she goes, actually I came to talk to you. At one of the other shows you were at, somebody sent me your photos, and I have an agency called Chic Management in Sydney, which is one of the biggest modeling agencies in Australia. And she's like, I'd love for you to meet the team and to talk about potentially signing you. And I mean, I was shocked because I was just dressed in horse clothes. I was like, that's the last thing that was on my mind. It's never something I aspired or wanted, but I think because more people had started to say that I could do it, I felt like, okay, well, I don't see it, but they all do, so maybe I will go in for this meeting. So I went in and had a meeting. I don't remember anymore if I went in with my parents or not. I think I did. I think I went in with either my mom or my dad.
Cute.
Because I was underage. They took my measurements. We took a couple of like Polaroids, which is basically like just like simple photos to show what you look like to clients.
But then you were open for it already.
And then they said, why don't we just test it out and see how it goes? So I was like, okay, let's just try it. I was very self-conscious. I was like super shy. I didn't really know like anything about that world. So as you said, when I had my first, they set up very quickly like my first shoot to try and like build my book.
Is that the video shoot?
I know that wasn't the first one.
With the interview?
No. Do you remember
You had a really different voice, I think. Much deeper.
It was very Australian also. But I went on my first shoot, which was like in this woman's house. It was like so not glamorous. The whole modeling world is very not glamorous. It was just in this girl's bedroom in her house, and we just did some,
test shoot, you mean?
Yeah, for a test shoot. And I told her, I was like, I said to her, I was like, I have no idea what any of this looks like. I was like, if we maybe have like a mirror, like while you shoot, then I can see like what, because I just had no idea. I had like,
smart.
I had no idea what she was seeing, and I was like, is this cringe? Is this ugly? Is this weird? And so that shoot went okay. We got some okay shots. And then I started to go out and start to do some like low-key jobs and some more test shootings. And I feel like that's when you start to get more comfortable. And I think everyone can relate to that feeling where you're like nervous, but you can only be in that feeling for so long. And shooting days is like 10 hours. So eventually you start to like lose this feeling of tension and nervousness that stops you from being like, you know, just yourself or creative or whatever. And then once this feeling goes, you start to experiment a little bit more and you get relaxed and all that kind of stuff. And that really helps.
Did you ever do any dance moves to loosen up?
No, that's really cringe. You know, I never did that. No, but some clients are like, just loosen it up, have a dance break. And I was like, I couldn't imagine anything worse that would make like the skin on the back of my neck go up. So then I was kind of doing okay in Australia, and my agency said to me, firstly, they offered me to go also to Japan or like China. And the reason why they do that is you go out there with like a set fee. So they will tell you, for instance, like, okay, you will, which is never like, modeling is never like this. It's like job by job, you don't know how much money you're gonna make. But they said to me, okay, we'll give you, I think it was like 30 or 40,000 Australian dollars to do 3 months in Japan. But from that money, you have to pay your rent. You have to pay 20 to 30% goes to your agency. It's not like you get all that money. And the thing is, I had friends that had gone and done this work in Japan or in Asia, and they work you to the absolute bone. So maybe you have like 4 or 5 shoots a day because they've paid you a certain amount. So they just like use you and abuse you 7 days a week for 3 months. And I thought, hell no, not doing that. And I had Chase, so I was like, I don't want to be away for that long. So they said, okay, why don't you go do Fashion Week in Europe? They were like, we think like you can have potential there. I was very skinny, and that's what's really wanted for Fashion Week. I'm very tall, that's what they also want. So I did my first Fashion Week in London, Milan, and Paris. And I had a really successful, well, somewhat successful first show season. That show that we talked about for Armani, I booked on my first season. So it was really cool. And coming back to Australia, having worked for Armani, a lot of people then wanted to work with me. And my agency was really happy. And I ended up doing a bunch more. I think I did like 6 or 7 show seasons in total. So I did them often, and then I ended up living in LA for a while and working in New York. And it's something that really became like a full-time thing for me. And I got to work with some really cool brands and have some campaigns worldwide. And it was really fun.
One time we walked on the airport and I think I saw you. And one time in a show.
Yeah, in the Armani campaign. Yeah, and then I did like a big American Eagle campaign, and I did stuff with Dolce & Gabbana. But it was really, really cool. And I was an ambassador for Westfield, which is like a really big shopping center chain in Australia and the US. So I got to do some really cool opportunities. But with all of this, I kept thinking like, firstly, like the lifestyle was not glamorous at all. It was horrendous. Like the jobs, like I found it very boring. Like when you're on set for like 10, 12 hours and you're doing shot after shot after shot, it's like exhausting. And
I think it's more exciting when you know it's going to be like an epic photo that looks different than all the others.
Yeah.
And you're trying to get that shot. It's different than when you have just like
but also but it feels like you do it all for nothing, because you don't see the shots typically for another like 6 months, because you're usually shooting like 2 seasons ahead. So you do all this great work and
planning. I don't even know what I'll do tomorrow.
No, but you put on all this hard work and then you don't see the results. So in the end, when you see the results, the excitement is gone, and it's just not the same thing anymore. So for me, it was not fulfilling enough. It took me away too much from my horses. I found it very lonely because I was going job to job to job, just living out of my suitcase. And so then I decided to peel back and merge into what I do now.
Yes.
But I thought it was funny that we kind of like, you've like come into my space a little bit and like
I dipped my nail. You put in your whole leg.
But I also came a small bit into your space to have a look at what
we do a lot
like.
of the same in my space, I think.
Because I've tried to do like I got requests and I did like 2 or 3 shows, which is what you do. And I tell you all the time now, it's like, I just don't, that's not me. That's not my space. Like if I had to do maybe like a public lesson or something like that, that I would enjoy. But to try and do like trick training and liberty and that kind of stuff, like it's just not my...
There's other things you can show.
Yeah, but I don't know if it's like my thing.
Okay.
At least for now. So even when shows reach out to me now and they say, oh, we'd like to do with you something in the arena, I say, sorry, but that's not really my thing. I'd love to come and help promote the show, but I don't perform. That's not my thing. Yeah, dance, monkey dance. But I don't know if people actually had heard about your modeling debut and that.
I would hardly call it that.
Yeah.
But okay, it was fun.
But it's fun.
And then all of a sudden I cared more about like getting rid of some pimples on my forehead and stuff like that.
Yeah, it definitely, I think going into that space definitely makes you like way more self-aware of the way you look. I will say for me, I don't know about the experience for you. For me, it did the opposite. It like really reassured me because I went into the space really not confident, and I got, rightfully or wrongly, I don't know, but a lot of gratification from clients and people wanting to book me and it going well, all that kind of stuff. I was embraced the fact that I was skinny for the first time in my life. That's what people wanted. So for me, it was like, oh, I found my space where I belong.
Sometimes I felt really shit about myself, and sometimes like, oh, it's fine. So depends. Yeah.
It humbled you, kept you humble.
Okay, enough.
Okay, well, I feel like we've probably gone through enough variety of topics. It was nice to catch up with you all, and
Is that it?
I think that's it.
I mean, it's been a long time, but I mean more like I hope it's not too boring, these topics for you guys.
Okay, well, that's it for now. You guys will be seeing us, maybe in the next video will be the first one. Maybe there'll be another video in between, but it might be the first video of us shopping for our horse property.
Can we convince him that one time we do a podcast with Maisie and Penny with us?
For the whole time, them sitting here. No, that's not good.
Remember we had
this
interview with Alice. It was really beautiful and really emotional. She was talking about
she was crying.
Her last show and stuff with the horse. And then the dog was just sitting next to her, but we didn't notice back then. I think that you could just hear it breathing the whole time. So she's crying and like beautiful and talking. And
all you can hear.
Like that. Anyways, I hope that didn't give you goosebumps. No, might see you in the next.
Anyway, we're gonna end on that ADHD spurt. But thank you guys all so much for watching and hanging in there with us. I really appreciate you guys kind of like giving me the space to just get all of my ducks in a row behind the scenes. So thank you all so much for watching this episode. I hope you enjoyed it, and we will catch you guys on the next one.
Thank you.
Bye.